Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating framework from a lecture that honestly completely flips our standard ethical compass right on its head. We're looking at a highly counterintuitive philosophy regarding informal cash gifts. Usually, when we think of informal money changing hands, our minds immediately jump to corruption, bribery, and just strict rejection, right? But the material we're exploring today presents a totally different paradigm, one where rejecting the gift might actually be the wrong move, and accepting it could be the catalyst for massive positive societal change. It's a bold, incredibly thought-provoking perspective, and I am so excited to guide you through this material and break down exactly what this all means.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to imagine a scenario. Put yourself right in the middle of this ethical dilemma. You're a teacher or maybe a public servant, and someone just hands you an envelope of cash, an informal gift given totally outside the official channels. What do you do? I mean, most of us have a total knee-jerk reaction, right? Refuse it, push it away, protect your reputation at all costs. It feels like a trap. But the framework we're examining asks us to pause right at this exact moment of tension. Because instead of a simple binary choice between take it and be corrupt or refuse it and be righteous, it actually introduces a third, much more demanding path.
So that brings us to Section 1, a new perspective on Chonji and rethinking our resources.
To really get this, we first need to define this concept of Chonji. Historically, in South Korea, Chonji meant a small, really well-intentioned token of gratitude given by parents to teachers. But as you can probably guess, over time it evolved into controversial, informal cash gifts that carried the heavy implication of a bribe, essentially a quiet little, hey, please pay special attention to my child. Naturally, the modern systemic response has been to strictly ban and refuse these gifts altogether. But here is the core premise of our source material, and it is definitely a controversial stance. Flat out refusing the gift might actually be short-sighted. The lecture argues that it isn't the physical envelope of money that's inherently evil. Rather, it's the intention and the subsequent action of the receiver that really matters. The material frames this purely as a philosophical exploration of resource management. It suggests that, pushing the resource away just out of fear is actually a missed opportunity for something much, much greater. Which leads us into Section 2, foolish versus wise sincerity. Let's analyze this. And this brilliantly illustrates the core dichotomy of the philosophy. On one side, we have what the lecture calls foolish sincerity. Now, this actually encompasses two behaviors we usually think of as total opposites. It includes unconditionally rejecting the money out of fear, which in this framework is viewed as a lack of wisdom in handling incoming resources. But it also includes keeping the money to secretly pad your own personal living expenses. Both of those deemed foolish. On the flip side, we have wise sincerity, and this is the real paradigm shift. Wise sincerity means you accept the gift, but you completely strip away your own personal greed. You don't use a single cent of it for your own groceries or rent. Instead, you accept the resource with the explicit, quiet intention to repurpose it entirely for the public good. The sharp contrast here is between personal greed or fear on one hand and fearless public benefit on the other. Now, let's break down the psychological trap of actually taking that money for yourself. It's the classic case of being penny wise, pound foolish, or, as the lecture describes it, suffering a massive loss by chasing a really small gain. The material outlines a pretty brutal reality about human habits. If you start relying on these informal gifts to boost your personal living standards, your lifestyle artificially inflates. Your basic cost of living adjusts to this new, higher income, and you just get used to it. But because these are informal, unofficial gifts, they are fundamentally unstable. When the money inevitably stops coming in, your life just collapses, because you literally cannot sustain that inflated lifestyle on your official salary alone. The framework gives a stern warning here. Relying on this money for personal use leads directly to ruin and lifelong instability. Moving right along to Section 3, public use and its results. Basically, how to handle these funds wisely. The presentation lays out a very precise, step-by-step ethical maneuver here. Step 1, accept the gift graciously. When a parent offers the envelope, you don't shame them. You simply acknowledge their goodwill. Step 2, you pool the funds. You keep this money completely, 100% separate from your personal finances. Step 3, you look at your environment. In this case, the classroom, and you identify what the system is failing to provide. Then you use those pooled funds to buy needed supplies for all the students. But step 4 is absolutely crucial. This is where the magic happens: transparency.
The framework advises that you must explicitly explain to the students, hey, our parents provided this out of gratitude and I've used it to provide these resources for all of us. Just like that, you've successfully transformed a secretive potential bribe into a fully transparent collective resource for the entire classroom.
So the crucial point here is summarized perfectly by this idea. The goodwill is received with gratitude, but the usage is up to the receiver's wisdom. The teacher accepts the feeling, the goodwill, and the actual energy behind the gift, but they entirely redirect its practical purpose. You aren't accepting a bribe to favor one student. You are intercepting a resource and using your own wisdom to benefit the entire ecosystem. The lecture heavily emphasizes that incoming resources are essentially blessings or energy provided by society, and it is the receiver's profound responsibility to use their intellect to apply that energy exactly where it's most needed.
And that takes us to Section 4, the change created by small wisdom, and how we actually scale this impact.
Let's look at how this builds over time, because the material emphatically states that big changes do not happen overnight. There's no magical law where massive change just happens instantly, right? It all starts small. On day one, it's literally just one teacher's quiet wisdom acting totally without greed. But months later, as the students benefit and the parents realize their gifts are being used to uplift everyone transparently, the respect for that teacher just skyrockets. The school thrives, it becomes a model school. Fast forward a few years later, observing this success and harmony, other schools begin to copy this transparent, public-focused model. And decades later, the ripple effect is so massive that it fundamentally alters the national system. A complete national systemic change regarding educational resources is achieved, and it was all sparked by one single teacher deciding to handle an envelope of cash with wisdom rather than fear or greed. Now, as we zoom out, it becomes crystal clear that the framework is using this Chonji classroom scenario as a metaphor for a much, much broader societal application. This philosophy applies to literally any professional or public servant. Number 1, do not reject incoming resources or blessings. The lecture literally says, do not block what is coming. Number 2, pull them strictly for public benefit, absolutely devoid of any personal greed. Number 3, use these resources creatively to address the gaps that society or the official system just hasn't fixed yet. And number 4, by doing this, the theory asserts that society won't view you as corrupt. Instead of facing punishment or legal penalties, you'll earn immense societal respect, applause, and ultimately be elevated as a real leader. You are literally turning potential corruption into a powerful mechanism for public service. Which leaves us with a really profound final thought to reflect on. This explainer has walked through a total paradigm shift regarding how we view power, gifts, and resources. It suggests that true integrity isn't just about keeping your hands clean by pushing things away. It's about having the courage and the wisdom to take what is given and boldly redirect it for the greater good. So, based on the philosophy we've explored today, the ultimate question isn't really whether you should take the envelope. The question is, how will you publicly utilize the resources society gives you?